Hi, my name is Isaiah Carter. This is my presentation on the effects of the 2008 crash on flight. Hi, my name is Isaiah Carter. This is my presentation on the effect of the '08 recession on flight. In early 2008, the aviation business was booming. New pilots were being hired left and right, with older pilots being able to take it easy and only have to take selective flights. It was a time where flights were cheap, airlines were well-staffed, and people could travel far and wide. Unfortunately, that financial bubble was about to collapse. When Wall Street went up in flames on October 6, 2008, metaphorically, so did the aviation industry. Everything became more expensive. Fuel prices skyrocketed, people were fired, and money became worth less than ever before. And what is one of the first things that people cut out during a recession? Travel, especially expensive, long-distance travel. Nobody had the kind of money for luxuries anymore, and many people no longer had any job. It was the worst kind of situation for airlines and pilots. In an article discussing the effects of rising fuel prices, Professor Chang-Ying Su, 2013, states that the International Civil Aviation Organization's annual report attributes the decline in passengers to slowing economic growth around the world and increases in airfare caused by soaring fuel prices in the first half of 2008. Expenses were climbing into the stratosphere for all airlines, big and small. They were being forced to cancel flights, as it was far too expensive to fly certain routes. For example, in Europe, airlines were forced to shut down an average of 10% of their routes. This may not sound like a lot, but that represents a large loss of revenue and return customers. Airlines lost practically all of their business overnight. They were forced to lay off the new and upcoming pilots. That left only the experienced and generally middle-aged and older pilots able to fly, while they were being paid a fraction of what they had been. Fast forward a few years to 2015, the economy is back up, people are traveling again, but airlines are running out of pilots. Why? Because, as stated by the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, a pilot must retire at age 65. This means that those older and experienced pilots who were not let go in 2008 were being forced to retire. There were also not many people becoming pilots due to the lack of benefits. It was not a well-paying job. It required you to be away from home for long periods of time. It was extremely expensive and time-consuming to gain your pilot's license. This left large commercial airlines scrambling for new pilots as they lost most of their workforce, with not enough replacement pilots to keep them stable. To fly commercially, you are required to have at least 1,500 hours of flight time. This is an incredible amount of time, but each hour of flight time is also very expensive. Each hour can cost from $123 to $216 per hour, for a minimum total of $184,000 if you're renting a plane for flight time. Fortunately, airlines soon realized that they were not gaining any new pilots and began to make it much more worthwhile to become a pilot. Along with pay increases, new programs were also put into place to help support people interested in flight in becoming commercial pilots. This was something that many European airlines have been doing for a long time. If you commit to work for an airline for a certain amount of years, you get all of your education paid for. Salaries were raised from only $20,000 a year in 2009, Tracy McCoy, 2014, up to an average of $83,000 a year for starting pilots. Meanwhile, the veteran pilots of large airlines began making upwards of $150,000. There is still a scarcity of pilots, however, as the time investment makes people wary of becoming pilots. This is a good thing for those willing to put in the work, however, as it means that someone with their requirements fulfilled is very likely to be hired. So, while the crash of 2008 completely tanked the airline industry at the time, it has opened incredible opportunities for new pilots. It has raised their salary and caused airlines to create programs and incentives to foster new pilots. Thank you so much for your time and consideration. I hope that you found this presentation both interesting and informative. Thank you.